Hi, everyone. This is John Artigo. I am the screenwriter for the upcoming John Draper Captain Crunch movie that we are working on, and it's going to be a very exciting project. Currently, you are listening to the Scene World podcast.
Welcome to the Scene World podcast. Today we actually have another guest from Brazil because later on we have a Sega Mega Drive Watermelon Paprium special section. And since neither AJ nor I are experts in the field, we invited a guest expert today for the new section. Later on we talk to Ed Cunningham about Walter Day's new movie, Arcades and Love Song, which actually concentrates on the musical career of Walter Day.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, our first dual guest podcast.
Yeah, it's actually true. All right. So the question is, who wants to start with the news?
Let me start with the news because I'm going to show you this because I just pulled this up by accident. I didn't intend to do this.
Okay.
I looked at my phone, and you can swipe on your phone and it brings up the news. And the first thing that it shows in the Google News is that it's the Commodore 64 Ultimate computer is the company's first hardware release in over 30 years. Pre-orders start at $299.
Ooh, nice. Well, it's actually no surprise because Gideon Schweitzer is part of the new Commodore rebranding, I would say. But the good thing is I got one already when it was originally released. I got a beta board, one of those rare pre-production units, which is actually good because he had no license back then. When you did a firmware update, you had to bring your own ROMs, because when you did a firmware update, it would delete the ROMs that were on the machine. So I never updated mine because of that.
Right, but I guess this means that with Gideon being part of like the new ownership, they're able to release it as an actual Commodore device, like a Commodore branded device, rather than like just the regular Ultimate 64 or however the 64 Ultimate Elite Plus 4X 12 or however it was marketed,
Well, it was marketed as an FPGA based Commodore 64.
Yes, well, that's what this is. It's an AMD thing versus the C64 Reloaded by Jens Schoenfeld, which is still being made, and I believe that Jens is also part of this. So is that going to be like rebranded as an official thing?
He doesn't need to, because he already got an agreement for the license, so he can use the name. And
but that's with the old owner, though. Does that still apply?
And he has no chips, so no problem with the ROMs and stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you put in your own. It's just a board that you populate yourself.
Right.
Which is cool, But like I'm saying, like it's the C64 Reloaded. It's not Commodore branded, or maybe it was actually a little Commodore branded.
It was Commodore branded. He made a deal with them.
So now with the C64 Ultimate being released as a device with the brand name Commodore, where does that leave the Reloaded? Because they're basically like functionally identical devices.
Not really.
You know what I mean? Like if you use it in the machine, it works as a Commodore 64. Either way, you can use it as that.
But the Ultimate 64 also has included a floppy emulator, which the Commodore C64 Reloaded doesn't.
Right, because the Reloaded is just a recreation of the shortboard. It's just a reverse engineered shortboard.
Exactly. No floppy drive emulation included.
Right.
So. All right. Yeah, that's nice.
And there was also some news, and I don't know if you've heard anything about it. Staying on, so since we talked in the last podcast that we did about Chris Simpson's purchasing of Commodore, being the new owner.
Right,
and
right.
and and there was a group of names that was put in there.
I know where you are coming now.
So we've had some of this, has been confirmed, such as
Yeah.
with Gideon and with David Pleasance has also said
Right.
he's definitely part of this. I have seen
And
some
Dave
rumbling.
Haney. Dave Haney was also
Oh, really?
mentioned.
Dave Haney too.
Yeah,
Interesting, because he was an Amiga dude. He wasn't C64.
Right, right.
But I have heard some rumblings. Bill Hurd's name was also attached, and
Right,
I've heard
right.
some rumblings from people posting online that he's not actually involved and is
According
annoyed
to
that
his
his name is
wife.
being used. Yes,
Yeah.
but he's also he's not really online much since last year. He kind of just vanished from everything.
He didn't reply
So,
to my message yet. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that's got any legs to it. I don't know what about that. I've seen some other things people posting that are kind of disparaging of the whole thing, talking about Chris Simpson, Perry Fractic, as an entertainer who's trying to get views and clout.
Yeah,
And
well, I don't know.
which,
I don't know.
but
We
here's the
will
thing,
see.
though, is that if that's what he's doing, he wants the clout that comes from being in charge of Commodore. Fine. It's still, regardless of what he's going to, obviously by looking at the guy and by watching the things he does, it means something to him. Which it seems like even having it in someone's hands where they're doing it for the press is still better than having it in a holding company's hands,
Right,
where you have to jump through hoops to do anything with it.
right. We will see how it goes. By
Yeah.
the way, you forgot to mention although the X64, the Mini ATX PC Commodore 64
Yeah. Right.
is also sold again over
Really?
their store. Yes, yes.
Is it upgraded or is it the same crap?
It's the same crap. Yeah. It's the same crap.
That was like
Yeah.
from 2010, wasn't it?
I think so. I didn't look at the specs. I guess they would have probably upped the specs because
I would
you
hope.
would
I would
need
hope because
you would need new
I'm not going to
boards and
go about
stuff.
and buy like a 2008 MacBook and try to use that as
Right.
my main machine anymore.
Right. Yeah.
That just seems silly.
True. I mean, um, it's probably mentioned in the store. I didn't really look it up in detail.
Mhm.
So, anyway, why shouldn't we move to Brazil and talk about the Paprium news? Because
Yes, please.
allegedly, and I don't know if it's true, but I saw that the file upload for the Paprium dump was actually done from Brazil. But
And we're talking about the
perhaps
fact that Paprium was engineered now to be emulated.
right.
Yeah.
So perhaps you can tell us a bit more about that. What did you find
Yeah.
out?
Well, as you said, it's not certain that it was done by a Brazilian, but the files were uploaded from Brazil. At least it shows that it was from Brazil. Maybe someone used a VPN or something like that. I don't know. But the fact is, Brazil is shown there, and the first news that I read about it was from Brazilian outlets saying that Paprium actually it isn't that it was dumped, but because the dump was done, I think I don't know how many years ago, but it's a while ago that the ROM was dumped, and now it is fully emulated, at least using RetroArch. So you have to use RetroArch on PCs and Android, and also some people got it to work on Steam Deck. So now it's a question of time when it will be fully playable on a real hardware, because they still can't do it right now. But as many people know, the game was developed since 2012, I believe.
Exactly, 2012.
Yeah.
And it was
was
released in
yeah.
2020,
Exactly.
But for just a small portion of customers that really paid upfront for the game, and
like that guy right there, Jörg.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you get your copy?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
But
so
did I never tell you the story?
you're one of the, yeah, I believe you told me that you had to call friends and
No,
talk to
no.
Tell the dude's mom.
Fonzie's mom.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. I threatened his mom. I said,
Yeah.
if I don't either get my money returned or the game, I call you every 4 weeks until this
Yeah.
has been resolved.
So the thing is, many people are being vindicated now, I believe, because once the game is emulated, you can play it. So, and the repercussion has been somewhat. How can I say it? Some people have bad things to say about Fonzie right now because some of the developers working at Watermelon replied to some videos on YouTube about the whole situation, saying that, well, what they can say, the thing is, people paid for the game, so now they're able to play it, and it's kind of justice being made, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
So why was it unable to be originally? Why was it thought that it couldn't be engineered to be emulated?
Well, at first there was this whole talk about a special chip in the cartridge that made the whole game work, and later they discovered that it wasn't exactly a special chip. It's like regular parts you can buy and assemble, and they just put that epoxy glob on there to hide the circuit.
He even gave that circuitry a German name called Datenmeister.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
But that's I won't say fake, but it's kind of a fake chip.
Yeah.
And so people were struggling to make it work on an emulator, but I think that even so, it would take a time to the game be fully playable on a regular real hardware, because they'll have to use some kind of special mapper or something like that. So maybe those guys who do the EverDrive, maybe they will release some sort of update to the firmware so they can fully play the game now. But it's a question of time, I guess.
Well, that's not. I mean, there's even more to that story. I mean, he kind of had a copy protection in the cartridge release, so it even doesn't boot on original hardware if you have a very early version 1 Mega Drive. So, and I have one of those, so I actually had to get a Mega Drive hardware version 2 so I could play the game. Because if you have it, if
was
you
it
have
worth it just to play freaking Paprium?
Oh yeah, it's a very cutting edge game. But
it is a good game. It's a decent game.
It is awesome. It actually pushes the limits of the Mega Drive. But
I feel like you can forgive some things if the product at least doesn't suck.
No, it doesn't suck. But
Right.
but what I also learned, and I don't know how much I understand of that, but perhaps Guilherme can chime in here. I learned that the music actually is kind of streamed from the cartridge to the console, and that is why and that is actually compressed audio, because I had a look at the GitHub, and there are parts of the GitHub where it says uncompressed audio and compressed audio, and for the compressed version they actually used MP3 files. So the music is not as woohoo as he made it out to be. So perhaps you can chime in there with some details.
Yeah, the thing is, for the emulation, at least they what they did was something that they used to do with some Mega Drive and Genesis emulators. that you can play the audio from outside of the game. So you can replace the soundtrack of the game using something that makes it load like it would load from a Sega CD. So, for instance, you want to play, I don't know, Golden Axe, and then you can use the original soundtrack from the arcade instead of the soundtrack from the Mega Drive game. And what they did was this: they ripped the soundtrack in MP3, so the quality is not the same as the original cartridge, and it is streamed while you play. That's why you have to play on the emulator, and it won't work on a real hardware too, because you wouldn't get the audio. And I don't know how they will do it when they finally port to the real hardware.
But
on the actual hardware, on the actual Paprium releases, the music, it wasn't MP3s.
I think that's a different format, and it's not as compressed as MP3s.
Okay.
But it's still basically compressed streaming audio, not natively.
Not a
produced.
special chip with several channels, extra channels.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the first time this is done. I mean, for example, if you look at Bitmap Bureau from UK with their Xenocrisis, they released Xenocrisis, which is a Mega Drive game, also on Neo Geo for arcades. I got it actually right behind me right now. And also for the Game Boy Advanced and the Super Nintendo. And in all cases where it wasn't the Yamaha sound chip, they simply streamed a recorded Yamaha version
and a lot
of the
games,
soundtrack.
Like you mentioned the CD games before.
Right,
a lot of them
right.
would have the music literally stored as just audio on the CD, and you play that while the game's going on.
But at least they are honest about it, and that's the difference. Quinnell always made up some fancy story about how it was specially developed and was super complex, and it turns out it was just bullshit. Basically,
it really uses that blast processing.
But blast processing was a thing in the end. That's the difference. Blast processing really was something, but something different than the marketing was actually intending it to be. Yeah.
Right.
So, and also I saw coincidentally that also a lot of the info from Pure Solar has been removed from the internet, from the early prints of the game. Because what some people probably forgot, that it is not the first time that Watermelon games had controversies. Because
no, you don't say.
Yeah, because
that's what he said before. Like Gwinnell, that's the guy, right?
Gwinnell God,
yeah. They're like, oh yeah, some people are criticizing him. I was thinking, like, just now. That's been the story for the last 10 years.
Even actually since 15 years. Because in 2010...
My brain is still in 2020.
Because in 2010, when Pure Solar was released, the first print of the physical cartridge actually has such a bad circuit board design that the game will self-destruct in another 5 years. So that's actually
always
weird.
What you want.
So they actually made a second print, and they also made a third print. And the second print and the third print has improved lifetime. So the game should hold 20 years.
So now what is the criticism being thrown at Gwinnell now? What's the newest stuff? The newest news?
Oh, if I can just read and reply from one of the developers here. Let me just find it here. It's from, let me see the name of the guy. It's Luis Martins. Luis Martins was one of the guys responsible for the art in the game.
Right, and also one of the buddies, actually.
Yeah, and he said this very unfortunate situation. The man called Fonzie, it's Guinel, is very much responsible for this. Even if credit should be given where it's due to his ability to have manufactured and to some extent shipped the game, it's also true that he has zero understanding of how to run a business or how to handle an online community. Some past associates have tried to make things work. Tulio in vain. Tulio is one of the other guys who worked on the company.
Yes, he's one of the co-founders from Portugal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest is history. Personally, I have tried over and over the years to put some sense on that man's head. Try to help the community and share what I could to ease the frustration. Trust me, I know a whole about this frustration. Same boat. Anyways, I shared what was necessary for him to do in handling communication with supporting community, but for some bizarre reason he wanted to none of it, excusing him at every opportunity or blaming others for confronting him. Anyways, this is literally pure incompetence if you ask my opinion. How else can you describe it? A character that is way over his head. Imagine getting the help of someone who is the most talented individuals in the indie scene to create the product. Stefan from SGDK, David Burton, Trevin Hughes, Tim Johnson, among many others, amazing artists, who collaborated during the whole process. Myself, who art directed it, co-created it, and would its world and worked on its graphics. With over 25 years of experience in the industry, I would think he would take an advice or two. He simply gave zero, what in the end professionalism made. Whoa. And well, he goes on and on talking things about Guinel here, but
it's basically a big rant.
Yeah, it's a big rant. And in the end, he said that the guy should communicate clearly with the customers, the people who bought the game. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, communication is not his biggest thing. I mean,
yeah, no, that's been the biggest issue since the beginning.
I mean, his last update in the Kickstarter was in February this year. So, basically 5 months ago.
He gave several interviews saying that he was scammed by PayPal and something, but
I know.
Yeah. Right now, he's the boy who cried wolf. Nobody believes him anymore.
But it's impressive that despite all that, 5 years ago when he did his Kickstarter, he still made almost $1 million.
Well, people sometimes,
they forget.
Yeah. Or forgive, I don't know.
Do we know where that $1 million, like, how that got used? Because that seems like a lot of money to make a Genesis game.
That's what I wanted to say. He said that part of the game is also spent for the Game Gear version.
And not only Game Gear, as I've heard, he was going to release it for the PS4 and PS5 and Steam
PC,
and other platforms, the Switch. So, but the thing is, the game,
even paying all your developers and stuff, a decent, good livable salaries is not going to hit you $1 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a game that basically already exists, because I mean, at least we have some info, because at the same time, Paprium was dumped and released in RetroArch. Also, the people from the Game Gear development of Paprium were asked, and they said like, yeah, we are still working on it. So at least they are still being paid.
Okay.
It seems. But I don't totally understand, and that is what Guilherme just said, why he doesn't communicate like, hey, this is the status progress of the Game Gear version, this is the status progress of the emulator for the PC version, or PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, just some charts, like, this is where we are standing now, visualizing it so people know where they are at. I don't know why
Or
he's just
if
staying
you've got
silent.
the budgeting to pay all your developers through this, then you've got the budgeting to hire someone to do PR and handle this
That's the
release.
interesting thing. That's the interesting thing. Before the Kickstarter, because we also did our first English interview with him, because I pressured him to do it, because he said, I'm not doing English interviews, and I told him, for us, you're doing it. He actually rehired the PR person he used like in 2012, you know? And the reason why she stopped working for him is he stopped paying her at some point. But despite that, she still agreed to be rehired for like 4 weeks. And since the Kickstarter is over, she doesn't work for him anymore. So it's really weird. I don't know. So there are people willing to do PR and helping him and stuff, but he's just not paying them and not supplying info.
I've heard that at least 2 companies approached Watermelon to buy them.
Oh,
And
really?
and they declined it. So I really don't understand why he runs the business like he does. It's really weird. Really weird.
And do you know any idea what the offers they made him were?
I have no idea. I heard an YouTuber talking about it. It was Gamer Boy. What's his name? Retro Gamer Boy. He talked about it in a recent video, and he said that he knows this because the companies approached him to talk about it, but he doesn't disclose any kind of value about it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because before he did the Kickstarter, he actually announced he would sell all the assets for Pier Solar and Paprium and sell out the IPs.
Oh, really?
Yes, we reported about that, but
the IPs, but not the actual software company, Watermelon Games.
Exactly, just the IPs. Yeah. But at some point, he decided to not do it, which is weird. Why do you first announce I'm up for selling my stuff, and then like a few weeks later, you change your mind and say, nah, I'm rather doing a Kickstarter instead.
That's the question. Is there a benefit to him to hang on to this? Like, is there a monetary benefit to this? I don't know. I would think that if someone's offering to buy your company, that's probably, like, take the money and run, dude.
Yeah.
Or another one.
I don't know.
Unless there's some other thing that benefits him by not selling, by hanging on to it. Bad press and all. I don't know. Is there anything you can think of that might be like an incentive for him to just hang on to things?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Like, that's the thing with this guy is that there's a lot of stuff that people that there's a lot of criticisms towards him, and there's a lot of stuff that he has done or not done, but the logic behind it is what is kind of baffling.
Right.
It's like, what? How is this decision made? Like, how is this a thing that he did? Like why? Like, what? Yeah. How does it benefit him at all?
It's interesting because he is in the unique situation that all his games, all his IPs are very successful, very good, groundbreaking, but from the management side and communication side, it's just awful.
Right.
So,
right.
And most game development studios have the different problem that they need to find one game after another to stay afloat and make good business. And he has the business, but he doesn't fulfill it, which is weird.
Yeah.
Well, at least from what I read from the other staff in Watermelon, it seems that the guy has a huge ego, and that's the problem really. And I believe he wants to run the things the way he does because he thinks his way is the best way, and it seems he doesn't listen to anyone, and That's why the company is how it is now.
Which is interesting because the other companies who are also living on retro games are much more successful. I mean, Watermelon Games doesn't even have a running homepage.
Yeah.
I mean, how many companies do you know where the homepage is more down than up?
Yeah.
On the other hand, you may think like this. Many people have heard about Watermelon, but what about the other companies, you know? So the drama also attracts PR, you know? Yeah.
True.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But Bitmap Bureau is quite known. I mean, hey,
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
But
they got the right to make the official game for the new um um um, um for the new
I guess it goes back to the whole adage. Yeah.
Terminator movie.
It's the
Exactly.
old, any publicity is good publicity,
yeah.
even if it's bad.
Yeah.
Although you would think that bad publicity would it gets you attention, but it wouldn't necessarily make people want to buy your product.
But as you said before, AJ, if the product is good, in
Yeah.
the end, people will, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what happened to Paprium to some extent. The problem is if everyone who bought the game got the game, things would be different.
Right.
And
That's true.
That's not what happened here.
That's
Yeah.
true. I mean, Watermelon in 2010 was the first game that actually made a retro producing company being afloat just by producing retro games. That was something to be unheard of. So Pure Solar was one of the most sold games on the Mega Drive, which is quite if a feat if you think about it. 2010, where people thought Mega Drive is a dead platform, you know.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's the same with Paprium. If he fulfilled all the orders, the game would be flourishing.
Right.
The company would be flourishing, you know. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but perhaps let's see what's going on now. Perhaps he will reappear to the scene now that Paprium has been released on RetroArch. I guess he
Call his mom
will.
up and bully him to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, it's quite a feat. Anyway, you told me there are other news actually about a coming event in Brazil, right?
Yeah. So in the 25th, 26th, and 27th of this month in July, São Paulo will be holding a RetroCon here, and there are international guests here. So Yuzo Koshiro is coming down here to announce his new game. You may have heard of it, Earthion. So his company Ancient is doing a new Mega Drive game called Earthion, and it will be released not only for the Mega Drive but also on Steam and other platforms. So the game is out in the 31 in this month, I guess. So they will release before on Steam and other platforms, and later they will release for the Mega Drive. But he will bring the Mega Drive game here, and also other developers will be here and other YouTubers. So I've got this brand new Master System game that is going to be released here, Frontier Force. This one was developed by Bad Computer, so they released on the itch.io website, and also they've released a physical version by Two Minds, which is a French company, and here in Brazil it's LMS Retro that's releasing it here.
So both games will be internationally, not only in Portuguese.
No, this one is the guy who developed it, I guess, is from the UK. So it's not just it's English, and this version here has a Portuguese manual, but the text in game is completely in English. And everything that's being released here, I believe it's this at least this version here is in English. So the event will be in the end of this month, as I said, and anyways, several developers showing new stuff, new retro stuff, if you wish.
Nice.
And the other game, is it also in English or just Portuguese?
Well, there's the Earthion, the Yuzo Koshiro game is in English, but it will have a Portuguese version too.
So Noturno, what's
Noturno? Oh, Noturno! This game, that's right behind me. It's a game only in Portuguese. It's a game that we're going to release. LMS Retro is also releasing it. The soundtrack was made by me in this game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And this game is only Portuguese, but there's not really. It isn't text heavy, you know. It's a homage to the Castlevania game, so it's it's like the original Castlevania. It's a simple game in terms of gameplay, so you don't need to read much.
Interesting. Interesting. And Jay, I just sent you photos. The retro event in Brazil is actually pretty huge.
What did you send
I sent it on WhatsApp. I sent it on WhatsApp to you, and it's actually pretty huge.
Oh, that was you.
At least according to their homepage.
Oh, dang! Yeah.
It's pretty crowded.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess it's one of the bigger events in
one of the bigger retro events here. You know, there are other gaming events here like BGS, which is much bigger, but it's a broader audience too.
It's good to hear about it, because normally we don't hear a lot about Brazil and what is going on in the retro scene.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you invited me.
Yeah, I mean, AJ and I, we only know the pretty basics, so I thought, why not invite an expert who actually is living there and knows a lot, you know.
Are you going to be attending that con there?
Unfortunately not, because it's very far from where I live. I live like 1,500 kilometers from there.
Plane.
Yeah, but expensive, you know. So not this time. I wish I was there, because this Nocturnal game, I wanted to be there to release it, but not this time. Maybe next time.
Next year.
Yeah.
Make a family trip out of it.
Well, the thing is, I do a family trip there every year, but only in the end of the year, you know, to the Christmas season and stuff. But who knows?
Make it. I guess it's winter for you. So
no, winter right.
So make it a winter trip.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I see a Tectoy in the background on the picture. So if even Tectoy is there with the booth.
They have a booth there, and other companies there too. But Tectoy right now, Tectoy is in a bit of a situation that they have burned themselves with the retro community a bit because of the Xenix console. I don't know if you heard about it.
Oh, really?
No.
Actually,
it's
not. Yeah, it isn't exactly a console. It's more like a handheld PC, like the Steam Deck. Actually, what they did was they released it here in Brazil. It's like I think Asus does one of those. ROG Ally, maybe that's the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe
I know what you're talking about.
They licensed from a Chinese company to release it here, but when they made the whole announcement, they said that it was original hardware and stuff like that, and people were expecting something else. And then when they released it, people were mad because it's the same thing that the Chinese companies sell, and it's more expensive. So why would you even buy this, you know? And the thing is, people are really upset because the brand is very is something that Brazilians are very fond of, because people who grew in the 80s and the 90s, they grew up seeing how the Sega products were very well received here, because the way Tectoy marketed it and stuff. And when they actually sold the company to another company that is really more focused on other things, like those small machines where you put your credit card to pay things and stuff.
Right.
So the companies nowadays, they have other focuses, but they still sell the Sega stuff. We still have a Master System that is being sold even now in Brazil, But the thing is, this company now is completely different than the former company, even though the name is the same. So people are a bit frustrated with the company.
So this handheld is something you could buy from Alibaba for cheap.
For cheap. Okay. Not exactly cheap, but cheaper than what Tectoy sells here, So you're basically playing just because they have their brand there, and we offer a warranty and they don't offer warranty and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's quite sad. Sad. So you think that in the long run they might part with the Sega license?
I really don't know, but I believe it's possible, Well, you never know. Maybe you just the other day sent me an interview with the new Sega president, and you said the guy is hinting about a new hardware. Who knows?
Exactly. Yes. Recently, the new CEO of Sega Europe and America, said he is working on making Sega a big player in the gaming market again. So, yeah. So we will see how that goes. But what is special about Tectoy is that Tectoy has the exclusive license for the region to produce or licensed Sega hardware for Brazil. So that is actually what makes it special. And
they even had a part in how Sega reached Portugal. Some games released in Portugal were also made by Tectoy.
Right. So so that's basically a thing. All right. Well, we will see how it goes. It's not a surprise. Stefano Arnold had to retire at some point,
Yeah. And since he left the company, things went south,
Despite he told me that he was planning to still be active as an advisor for the retro part of the company.
Well, he could be an advisor. That doesn't mean they got to do what he says.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But it sounds like they are not interested in the advisory.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems so. Or at least they think that they can do better without his advice.
Well, I mean, the special thing about Stefano is he is in touch with the retro scene. I mean, he knows people, he knows all the guys in the industry from the 80s, 90s. He traveled to all the places. He went to all the companies in Japan and USA and spoke directly to the people, and I don't know.
And you know that soccer is very big here in Brazil, and sometimes people say that everybody who roots for a team thinks that they can do better than the coach that's training the team and stuff, but that's something that also happens with Tectoy here. Everybody says, well, we could do better than what this guy is doing with the company, because if you think about how the retro scene is big nowadays, and how this market is really strong, and people could do better. For instance, the Master System I said they are selling right now, it's completely different in terms of the design of the machine, because it's much smaller. It's something like, I don't know if it's FPGA based or something like that. But they could do something smaller and make like a Master System Mini, like they did with the Genesis Mini and
Right.
NES Mini and stuff like that. But they never did something like that. And if they did, it would be, I believe, a huge success here. So I really don't know why the guy isn't doing things like that.
But for my news, perhaps let's stay to the topic of consoles, because just learned today that today, or at least recently, they found a way to dump every N64 cartridge.
Wow.
Which is actually good for preservation, because there have been 4 games on the N64 that used beta development boards that were not dumpable by the open source cartridge dumper for the N64, and this has been resolved now. So that's a big win for preservation.
Nice.
Just to chime into the Paprium preservation of games topic. So that's a win. Right. There's a YouTube video about it. We will link to that so people can learn about it. Right. And also on the same topic, some sad news. Sega announced they will be delisting the Mega Drive and Master System Classics collection on December 6th.
Delisting it from where?
They from Steam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
They.
Is that what we tried to like 2-player a long time ago?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So Sega is unfortunately always delisting old games on Steam and then making way for another. Yeah, but the Sega Mega Drive collection and Master System collection is a weird thing, because it was actually region lock. The only reason I got it on Steam is I won the physical DVDs of the collection in a raffle or at Gamescom while a games competition, and I won the games competition, and along those prizes I could select the 2 volume DVDs for the collection. And at this time I didn't know that it wasn't available in Germany. So I was actually pretty lucky to have it in my Steam account.
Yeah.
I got that collection because I wanted a legal way of having the ROMs to play on my real hardware. So
you see?
Yeah.
But in Brazil, I guess it's easier than Germany and other countries.
For some games, yeah, but other games not so much. And I believe there are games in the collection that weren't released in Brazil, if I recall correctly.
Well, what Sega actually did is they had a full collection, and then a few years in, they removed more and more games from the collection. So the collection became smaller. That's kind of weird. Why would you do that? But they did it. So
Sega.
So maybe they didn't have the license anymore. I don't know.
So what I basically did is I got the base of the collection with the DVDs, and then the ROMs I bought via Amazon Germany, Amazon USA, and then this way I got the whole collection. Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, this is past now.
Yeah.
On the other hand, other news: the German Arcade and Pinball Museum in Seligenstadt won the German Video Game Award this year.
Okay.
So that's like the highest award and praise in the gaming industry in Germany. So that's quite nice.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. And what else? Oh yes, and also there was a new game released for the PC called Jigsaw Lady Tiger. And Jigsaw Lady Tiger is
Wait. Jigsaw Lady Tiger.
That's the name.
That's what you're saying. Those
That's
are the three words.
That's a game
They're
called,
being put together to make this title.
Yeah. Jigsaw Lady Tiger. And
what are the odds
and
of having those three words in that sequence?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And it's a PC platformer for the C64 color palette. And now the question is, why is that? Because the coder doesn't know how to code assembler on the C64, so he made a C64 game for the PC.
Okay.
And Jigsaw Lady Tiger is actually a successor for the C64 Amiga Spectrum ZX game Vixen from 1988. And
okay, but
yeah,
but we go from Vixen to Jigsaw Lady Tiger. Like the original game doesn't also have three completely unconnected words together.
Right. No. Yeah. And
it's just Vixen.
Yeah. And interesting thing is, in German, that word means to masturbate. so
there you go.
In 1988, they probably didn't do research before releasing the game in the German market.
Guess not.
Yeah. So that's about it. And it is a successor because it is the same main character. It has the same music, just re-released.
So it's not the same developer.
I was just looking it up, and in Germany it was released as She-Fox.
Right, yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
Which is what a Vixen is.
So they avoided the issue, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot.
She-Fox,
right. Okay. Thanks for correcting me. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. And now I forgot about it, but let me look that up. Vixen is not even an original game.
Oh my God.
It's actually a clone of an arcade game. Just let me look what the original game is. So, by the way, the game was very mediocre. It only got a score of 5 out of 10 on Lemon 64. So it was not very successful, and people didn't really like it.
The old game.
Yeah.
It looks
underpants car.
Sorry?
I just made up a stupid. I just said the original game, Table Underpants Car.
No. I meant Guilherme. You wanted to say something. You wanted to say it looks like
it looks like there's this other DOS game. I'm trying to remember the name. Jill of the Jungle. Yes. It looks like Jill of the Jungle. But I don't know if that's the game you're saying it's a clone of.
No, the arcade game it's a clone of. It's called Rygar.
Right. Oh, I've heard of Rygar.
Yeah. I see.
It's a Rygar clone. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the same game.
So the whole summary is it's a Rygar clone that was released for the 64 Amiga ZX Spectrum, and now there is a follow-up with the color palette of the Commodore 64 and the same resolution, but released for PC because the coder doesn't know how to code the game on the C64. And of course, on
Okay.
HIO, people were butchering the fact.
Of course.
How can you release it anyway? And, basically, learn to code on the Commodore 64 and make a Commodore 64 version. Or I'm not buying it, or something like that.
That's nonsense.
If that's your creative outlet and however you want to do that, that's fine. A lot of people do stuff on newer machines that have those imposed limitations on them.
Yeah,
where they don't need to do it like that, but that's just the aesthetic. So
there's this Brazilian studio called Joy Masher. They have several games like Oniken and one or two of those games, they did it using just the NES palette and the NES resolution, but they are PC games, and they did it on purpose. They did it because they wanted to do it that way. So I don't think it's a sin or anything to do things like that.
I mean, it's the same people that complain on Steam that Xenocrisis didn't receive an update in years. And
course.
I'm like, it's a Mega Drive game. What kind of updates do we expect?
Right.
The game is finished,
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, so, yeah. Let me think. Oh yes, one last bit. Two more news. So, quick news is Tronimal released a whole collection of all his discography digitally for €2 on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Subnautica 2 is going to be released as early access on Steam soon. And the reason is really amazing, because what happened is that the publisher disclosed that the 3 managers of the developer they bought refused to continue working on managing the game development. And since they refused for half a year to continue finishing the game, they got fired. And now the publisher is doing it themselves via early access.
Okay.
So it's not part of this worldwide fire game developers craze that started with Microsoft closing studios and putting games on ice. They claim that the leadership of the company refused to continue working, basically.
Okay. Well,
nothing is disclosed about the reason why you would refuse to finish your game. I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
But
a lot of that going around.
It's like, perhaps in the next few weeks we will learn more.
Yeah.
But I found it a wild reason, Anyway, that's all the news I've got so far.
All right. Then we should ask
Ed Cunningham.
Well, no. We should ask Guilherme. Where can people go to find out what you're doing? Oh, look at that!
Oh, okay.
Little butterfly just landed on my finger.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Now he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where can people go to find out what you're doing?
So as for the things I've been doing, there's my YouTube channel. I have to spell it because just like my name, my last name is also hard. So it's CHIRI NEA Chirinéa or Chirinéa as we say it. And in my YouTube channel, you'll find the soundtracks I've been doing and the games I've been helping. So right now there's a port of Contra for the Master System that's being developed, and I'm helping with the soundtrack. There's a port of Castlevania 2 that's being also developed, and I'm helping with that. There's Nocturno, which is being released right now in the end of this month. And there you can find all the stuff I've been doing. And thanks so much for having me here and let me.
Thanks for your input.
Yeah. We'll put links to all of that in the podcast description. And thank you
Awesome.
for hanging out with us for this news section.
That was great for me. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
I mean,
thank you.
You know so much about the Mega Drive / Master System / Brazilian scene. Why not? And it's a lot better than HJ and me. Putting things
our way through it. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We don't even understand half of the Portuguese stuff that was posted about it.
So, anytime.
And for listeners who don't know his stuff, you also do a lot of good documentations. You have this forensic video about Battletoads. That was totally awesome.
Yeah, thank you. That video was one of the first that also made my channel gain a little bit of visibility. The other one was about the sound in Super Mario Brothers and how it's different in original consoles and in Famiclones and stuff.
Exactly. So
you're very welcome if you want to see that kind of stuff. I talk about harder sometimes there too, not only music.
Right. Yes. I mean, your music is also great, but I also like to watch stuff where people dig deeper into. That's the reason why, and that is how it happened, and all that, and so that's amazing. Anyway, thanks for sitting with us, and I guess now we could jump to Ed Cunningham and hear about arcades and love songs and Walter Day.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
See ya.
So, today we have another guest, and today it's Ed Cunningham, and you are the producer of, not only King of Kong, but also the new movie that just came up, Arcades and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. And you just recently had an international release. Despite, I figured, at least in Germany, only VHX lets me watch it because of geolocking. So that's
why we're on so many platforms.
Okay. Good. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, you replied instantly, and you were like, yes, of course, I'm talking to you guys. So, interestingly, when I first checked your background, I was like, am I reading the right Wikipedia entry? Because you did so much more in your life. I mean, American football player, sports announcer, film producer. Oh my God. Seriously.
Yeah, and the sports broadcasting actually allowed me to become a filmmaker a couple of different ways. The first one was in sports television, you're constantly having to learn story and regurgitate story. So you get a lot of repetitions on just what's the setup of this story, who's the human at the center of it, how do I make it compelling for the audience beyond, in American football, the guys wear helmets, you can't really see them. And so you really have to learn how to use B-roll, a picture of them with their sister, who's the track star that you roll into the broadcast. And all along the way, I always was friendly and worked with the camera people, the people that were editing. I'd sit next to them. So I really learned about editing and being on a very fast deadline. And because as a broadcaster, I only worked during the summer and fall. So winter and spring and part of summer, I could go out and film. And filmmaking was my side hustle. And it allowed me to not rely on studios or other people's money or, like this Arcades and Love Songs. I filmed almost the whole thing by myself before I said, okay, what do we have here? Because it doesn't cost much to go out and film. It's flights, and we take 2 people. We keep it very lean. And so that career, which I left in 2017, and led me to this, really set me up. I know they seem incongruous. It's sports broadcasting and filmmaking, but you mentioned The King of Kong. The King of Kong is a sports movie.
Exactly.
We completely made that as an 80s sports drama.
Esports. Yeah.
So my sports background does directly come into my filmmaking, but it was more just learning how to tell nonfiction stories over and over and over again. What's interesting? Why is it interesting? The timing of storytelling, just because I got so many repetitions in sports broadcasting.
And it's interesting because I know we also interviewed Billy Mitchell and all the other people involved, and he always says in interviews he never watched King of Kong, but but I saw. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a cold here.
Okay.
I saw in another interview with Screenfish that you said the reason he actually didn't like the movie because he said you didn't portray him nice enough.
Yeah, you always bump up against this in documentaries. What is the truth? People talk about truth. Well, you only have a personal truth. Facts are facts. You can say this happened, this happened, this happened. But the truth of what happened, the feelings, the journey you were on, can only be personal. So people say, oh, I want to know the truth. Well, truth is individualized. Facts we can debate and say, it started at 3 o'clock. No, it started at 3:07. That's a fact, right? We can sort of debate that. But the truth of it is we very truthfully represented how we witnessed what happened during that time. And the most interesting, we followed several, because when the Guinness World Records called Walter, which is in our film, and said, hey, can you give us classic game scores for our book? I think it was for the 2008 book.
Yeah.
That really was sort of the act 3 of our film. And if you remember the film, we had Steve Sanders going for the Joust World Record. We had the woman going for the Cubit record. We always felt like it was going to be an ensemble film of all of these great gamers and quirky and their different paths. And we actually filmed with all of those people. We went to their homes, but really it was Billy who just kept pulling the camera towards him. I mean, he would literally sort of produce our film for us. He'd been filmed so many times. He knew what was interesting, but in truth, he was probably getting some favorable positioning within Twin Galaxies with publicity, and there were some people who were upset by that. And so what I say to that is we filmed and represented our truth. And what's nice is from there until I called Billy about filming Walter, to that point, Billy's a much different person than we filmed with back in 2006 and 5. I think he was, really wrapped up in the persona, and that we call it, in wrestling, it's called the heel persona. And I think he was so wrapped up in that. Whereas now his kids are sort of grown, his business is, his hot sauce business is burgeoning, and he's become way more mellow and frankly, way more supportive, both by his actions and by what he says. He's still Billy. He's still wearing the outfit. He still has the Darth Vader hair. He still has all of the things.
I like how I like how you put it.
Yeah. And so I witnessed and filmed someone who really was dedicated to Walter Day and Walter's dream of finally becoming a singer-songwriter. And I would not have made Arcades and Love Songs, our current film, if Billy had sort of pulled the spotlight to himself and said, hey, this movie's about me. And it was the opposite. He actually said, you can't make a movie about me again because I don't like the first one. But he did say, this really has to be about Walter and his music. And there were concerns how much we would, because Billy was accused of cheating, and there's been these big lawsuits. Billy didn't want the lawsuits to overtake this story. And I said, no. Right. It's only how they impact Walter. We have to tell the audience enough to know what happened and how Walter got pulled in. And I know that he's very pleased with how the film has come out. And what's nice is the community and a lot of the early press and reviews we've gotten mention, and even Walter says in the film, that we get to see a more three-dimensional Billy, a more grown-up Billy.
Yeah.
But don't let it fool you. Back in the day, he was that cocky. He was, he was like building that empire, and now he's a much more mellow guy.
I also liked how the atmosphere of the movie changed, because it begins with scandal, arcade, music, and at minute 42, love story.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, now it's a totally different kind of movie.
That was the part, that's why we call it Arcades and Love Songs. So Walter Day, who's the father of esports, the first person to track scores, had these little arcades in Iowa where people from all over the world would come to compete. And at that time, he was dating a woman who ended up breaking his heart. And he started hearing songs in his head, fully formed, big love rock opera songs. And they'd sort of haunted him his whole life. And in The King of Kong in 2007, and we filmed with him 20 years ago in 2005, he played these songs and said, I don't want to be the video game referee anymore. I want to write my music. And it just never happened. And then because of King of Kong, some fans of King of Kong saw him at a convention in 2017. They said, hey, whatever happened to that music? And Walter said, well, life got in the way and there's this lawsuit. And they said, well, we'll pay for your album. So these two brothers from this mobile game called Color Switch.
Color Switch, right.
Said, we will pay for one of the best studios in the country, definitely one of the best in the Midwest, and a great engineer, incredible musicians, and we'll make your album. And so when that happened, for me, it was full circle with King of Kong. Walter had been brought into this lawsuit based on things that happened in King of Kong, a film that I produced. And I was in the edit room a real advocate for having Walter's story in the original film because I like his music. I think he's a really good songwriter. And so the album is on our website and it's out on all the digital platforms, but arcadesandlovesongs.com. You can go buy and download his album. We have liner notes with lyrics. It's really good. And then it's on all the major platforms as well. So we helped release his album a couple of weeks ago. It's sort of like we call it King of Kong meets Purple Rain is what this project is.
Interesting thing is, at the end, in the credits, you have a little message saying we tried to interview Chase Hall, but he wouldn't even answer. And here's the interesting thing. When we started, or I started doing interviews in the arcade world, my first touching point was actually in 2014, Chase Hall. And surprisingly, he was very nice and telling me how to get in touch with Walter Day and all that. And I also made interview appointments with the people that currently work at Twin Galaxies, moderators, and so on, until I received an email from Chase Hall saying nobody is doing interviews with my people. And so I think before the scandal happened about cheating, there must already been some point where Chase Hall was bitter with the previous owners of Twin Galaxies at some point, because to this day I don't understand it. I mean, even if you have co-workers, they are adults, right? They should be able to make their own decisions,
I can't. We didn't get to speak to Jace Hall, who's the owner of Twin Galaxies now, and so I can only represent what other people have said about that. But honestly, I think best intentions. There might be some missteps.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's some big evil corporate plan here. I don't know that it's that complex. I mean, I think the guy did and does have best intentions to try to make Twin Galaxies into something. It's a great space. It's a good space to be in. But yeah, since we didn't get to talk to him, I can't really speak to his motivation and actions.
It's just saying that the behavior is not making sense, On one hand, helping with, here's how to get in touch with Walter Day, and blah, 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 blah. on the other hand, he doesn't want to talk about Swing Galaxies nowadays. So it's just interesting that you mention it as part of the movie. And I was like, okay, somebody else ran into the same issues I did. So it was nothing personal, you know.
Yeah.
Just my thought. Um, well, I mean, how was it for you um to make a second, well, um let's say a follow up that is not really focusing on arcade games?
It's more of a
Yeah.
spin-off.
Right.
Yeah. That's there was no interest creatively or economic. Well, I mean, economically it makes sense, but creatively there was no interest on the original group at King of Kong, which includes the director, includes New Line Cinema, which is part of Warner Brothers, who owns the film. Nobody was interested in King of Kong 2
Really?
because
Okay.
it's a really complicated legal story. I mean, there's been some incredible. Steve Wiebe has this incredible career. He's been in like a dozen movies now, and he's sort of had his fame in this lawsuit. There's a mini series around what happened since King of Kong, but no one on our side, especially me. This is my first feature directorial effort, and when you direct something, you really have to love the subject. You really have to love the story. I've spent 3 years working on this movie from first July of 2022 was when we started production on this film, and here I am, June of 2025. So 3 years of my life, I didn't want to rehash King of Kong at all, and because it was Walter, and it's a broader story. King of Kong is sort of a male demographic, gamer, techie kind of story. This is not. This is about you mentioned this is about heartbreak. There's a reconciliation of a 40-year broken heart in our movie,
Wow.
where the woman gets to apologize to Walter. Like, this is a whole different story. And it was one of the executives at New Line, when I showed him sort of the first rough cut of the film, he said, I love that it's not King of Kong 2, but it's in the King of Kong cinematic universe.
Yeah.
It has a
Right.
very similar feel. Mike J. Nichols, the editor, is and was a huge King of Kong fan and had studied that film as an editor. So he knew the tone that we would go for. He knew, and we shot some stuff to play homage to King of Kong. But one of the best things I've gotten for feedback is real King of Kong fans, people who have adopted this film as part of their yearly watch. It does, moves them and inspires them. They get something from it. We've met and talked to a lot of people. A lot of that group, the real core fans, they were afraid we were going to mess up the sort of history of the movie by trying to do King of Kong 2. I mean, how many of us have been, the part 2 always ruins sort of part 1 for you? And so there was a lot of fear in the community that we were going to ruin the legacy. And then when they realized, oh no, this is about that guy and this is about that dream he had in the film. And I still get to go relive it with Billy Mitchell, and Steve Wiebe's in the movie talking about his music career, Steve Sanders. So you get all of King of Kong in here. But absolutely, the goal was to make a totally different story. And very importantly, you can watch our film, then King of Kong. You can watch King of Kong, then our film. You can watch our film, or you can watch King of Kong. They're meant to be completely separate, yet have the DNA, similar, the same DNA. Same, earnest, fun. You get to laugh. You get to laugh along with these quirky folks, but we don't make fun of them. We sort of have all of that ethos in this film, but it absolutely could not be King of Kong 2. Just no interest for me creatively, and certainly no interest from the studio and original director's point of view as well.
Well, is there anything else that you would have done different and didn't work out? Or did anybody else, apart from Chase Hall, participate in the way you wanted?
No, the big one was the woman who broke Walter's heart participating. That was the big one. Jane Harris is her name. We actually have her on the poster. We put Walter Day, Billy Mitchell, Steve Sanders, and introducing Shane Harris as like the new star on the scene. She really sort of steals the movie, as you mentioned at minute 42 when she comes on screen.
Yeah.
So her participating, her coming to Walter's show and listening to that music, this is a person who didn't hear from him essentially for 40 years and got a call saying, hey, remember when you broke my heart? Well, I wrote all these songs about that and they're making a movie. Can they come film with you? And so I spent a lot of time with Shane and showed her some previous movies I'd made, said, hey, watch this movie. You know, people shared really deep personal stories with us. I wanted her to feel comfortable. But this is a totally, totally different level movie because of her participation. And that wasn't guaranteed when we started. So I'm very grateful to her and how we set her story up, allowed her to speak for herself, and gave her a full circle, full narrative tied into the ending of the movie as well.
Right. There's no negative finger pointing, you know,
No,
like evil
it's all healing.
you know.
No, it's all healing, and
yeah,
we were getting a lot of feedback, which is thank you for making a nice movie about nice people.
Right.
We're hearing that a lot.
And I also was realizing for the first time where Walter Day totally lost it, where the cameraman was like, perhaps you could be nice and give her one of your 2 chairs you are sitting on. And
you know, we've been very fortunate to show that, and we now have people booking the film for theaters for events because this movie plays so well with the crowd, and that gets the biggest laugh. It's like this tension breaker because there's so much tension about her driving over to see him for the first time, and it's this, you know, it's a very human moment. But yeah, that gets one of the biggest laughs in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I'm sorry, I have a child obligation.
No problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
And I apologize for being a little bit late, but I have to get in the car to go pick up my son at camp. We're on summer break here.
No worries.
problem. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Hopefully you'd make a 3rd movie and we will talk again in the future.
No, well, I'll make another movie, but it's not going to be in the King of Kong cinematic universe.
When's the Roy Schultz biopic?
Well, I'll give you a quiz. So I love that. So Roy Schultz showed up to our Hollywood premiere. Was mostly well behaved, had a good time, looked great, looked healthy. And he pitched me the Ballad of Walter, or excuse me, he pitched me the Ballad of Roy Schultz after the screening as the next project.
Indeed.
Okay. We'll get up there. The Ballad of Roy Schultz is in development, we'll call it.
All right.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
All right. Thanks for taking the time.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.